say, so I will say my wife wrote that.
Did she? Oh, it was so sweet.
So it makes me sound like I'm
it.
better than what I am, but there's just a lot of hard work that went into.
Yeah, it's good that she likes it.
She does. She likes me, right? Let's see if she's watching on Zoom. That would be great. So okay. Oh, let's grab this. I did want to kind of give a little bit more of my background, just to kind of let you know where my heart is. So for me, real estate is kind of more of a labor of love type deal. I would say from 2004, and I was just talking to Lee about this as well, 2004 to 2008, I was in it for myself. Everything that I did, I subscribed to the thought pattern of if it is to be, it's up to me. And really, so can you hear that? For me, that was more of a negative, because I thought that if something was to be accomplished in my business, it was because I was going to force it to happen. I was the person to take care of it all. And that kind of led me to not help others with their own success. I was just kind of more self-centered, so to speak, just kind of focusing on myself. And but miracle happened. 2008 happened, and there was no more building that was happening. You know, if there was building, people were doing it for free, and they were just building their resume. That's all that they were doing. They weren't really making money, and that wasn't very fun for me. So 2008 to 2010, I was working for banks doing REO projects, which is real estate owned. And if you know anything about the real estate owned portion of business, Lee's shaking his head. He's like, oh, it sounds like a nightmare. Basically, what I did at that time was I used my construction knowledge to break into houses for banks. And I would have to redo all the locks. I would put antifreeze in the bottom of P-traps. I would clean out houses. It was the worst work ever. We'd have to, mow the lawns if it was just a big field, and the bank wanted us to go in and clean up that property. We had to literally, I didn't have any of these type of tools, but I would just go in with a weed whacker and just weed whack an acre of just weeds. It was the worst job ever. And then that led me to a heart attack in 2010. So yeah, so I was eating like 3,500 calories a day. I really wasn't burning all of those calories out, and I was just stressed to the gourd, because I was only making like 35 to 100 bucks per property, and being married, having 3 kids at the time, was not that much fun. Yes, yeah. So my energy drink of choice was actually Dr. Pepper, and I couldn't do the monster drinks or things like that, but yeah, it was Dr. Pepper for me. And then that strawberry lemonade, just packed. I think it's got 49 grams of sugar per can. I'd have 5 or 6 of those a day, and didn't think twice about it. So if you were to ever go out to lunch with me, you'd see that all that I drink now is just water. And anyways, after the heart attack, which happened, by the way, on Thanksgiving Day, I was playing basketball. And after that day, I definitely had a lot to be thankful for. But I had to rebuild my life after that. I dropped 60 pounds. I got into a better mindset. I was like, okay, whatever I was doing before, it's not working. And guess what? The economy is not coming back. So now, yes, I do have to instill some of that. If it is to be up to me, it's up to me. But I didn't want to do it by myself. So in 2011, I restarted my construction company. And I only focused on my employees and helping the general contractor, and focusing on more of customer service. And I got to the point in 2015 where I no longer wanted to build anymore. I'd been on the road for half of my marriage. So by that time, it was like 17 years that I'd been married, and half of that time I was away from my family. So we had just had my 4th child, and I'm like, you know what, I'm done. So I took the classes for real estate again. And can you hear this? Can you hear me a little bit? Okay. I don't know how to turn it up. See. Yeah. Pretty okay. Maybe I'll just hold it like this too. I'll hold it like this as well. And so where was I? Basically I'm rebuilding my life, right? 2015 comes and I decided to come back home to Utah. I got the job with Woodside Homes, and they gave me a product that nobody else wanted out in Saratoga Springs. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it, because I just wanted a community of my own, and I wanted to prove myself that I could educate people on the construction process. And so they gave me that. They said, here, treat this as it's your own franchise. And that's exactly what I did. I spent like, I wouldn't say every waking minute, but I would say I spent a lot of time over there learning the product, making sure that everybody was followed up with, and being a part of that team. Because again, team was the most important thing for me. Not doing things by myself, but collaborating with everybody and being an integral part of that team. So 3 years later, I ended up selling out of that product, sold 200 homes in 3 years. It was great. So just to know how far we've come since 2015, these were single family homes on 0.08 acres, selling for, these 3,000 square foot, three bedroom, 2.5 bath homes for $209,000 in Saratoga Springs. So it was pretty great. It was pretty phenomenal to be a part of that. And then just in those 3 years, I think in the end, we were selling them closer to $350,000, $360,000, $70,000. So, and now fast forward to 2020, I think they're all selling for like 600 plus at this point. It's just crazy, just crazy. So let's see, let's now, you know, my background, and let's go ahead and start in with this. So we are here to talk about embracing your job. And the first time I heard that, it's like, embrace your job. Man, I don't even look at this as a job. I remember somebody explaining once that JOB stands for just over broke. And I suppose in that case, starting out, I guess it could be a job, because you're putting everything into it, and not a lot is coming back. It's just you're giving everything that you have. But sooner or later, all of your efforts do pay off. All right, how do I? She said, go ahead, and where's Molly at? Let's see. I know, right? Let's see. Anybody know how to cycle through these? Because I think she said, go ahead, and might have to call her. Okay, let's see. Can somebody want to go up and just knock on her door and say, hey, we gotta. No, this one's mine, and so it's not hooked up. Okay, we're having technical difficulties, and my brother used to say, we've got an ID10T problem, right? So which is just idiot spelled, and that is me. ID10T, yeah, he's in information systems, and he would be like, oh, I see what your problem is. You've got an ID10T problem. I was like, what's an ID10T? Go ahead, write it out. ID10T. It says idiot. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. Seems like you should be able to press escape, or all right. Well, oh, that's perfect. So for now, as long as do you guys have your guides that they handed out from last week? Okay. Well, I'll for now. I do not have them right now. They just said show up and teach, and that's what I did. Okay. Okay, so for now, we'll just go through it. Okay, where's that drink at? Now the exciting part is over with. All right, so in session 1, we discussed the value proposition of being a being a part of Keller Williams. The real estate expert of choice, embrace your job. We're going to cover key priorities a real estate agent has and discuss what it takes to become a great agent. So before we begin today, let's just hear about some of the progress that we had last week with the success system. I think it was at the end of Carl's class, and I wasn't here, so maybe you guys can just correct me if I'm wrong, but did you guys go over the success system and talk about, making your 10 calls, putting 10 contacts in? Didn't do any of that? Okay. Okay. Well, if we didn't cover that last week, we'll go over it again in this class. Okay. So let's just see. Okay, going over today's agenda. Today we're going to apply the 6 core competencies of a business. We're going to recognize your role as a fiduciary for your clients. We're going to review the success system again, and then go over any ahas that we had. And you'll see me pause and not look down at my book from time to time. That's because I'll be talking about some of the ahas that I've come away with as I've gone through this material. So, all right, the next thing I need to do is click on, if I raise a hand, who here knows about Simon Sinek? Simon Sinek? No? Oh man, then we really need to do this slide. Okay. Let's just take a 5-minute break right here. We'll wait for Molly. We definitely want to start with this video from Simon Sinek called The Golden Circle. It's about, oh, hello. All right. Somebody's helping us here. This is awesome.
Hey Ben, Ritz here. I'll control the slides.
Oh, hello. Was that Lexi? Rit. Okay. Oh, can you go to today's agenda? So thank you so much. Keep going. Go. I think that one shows twice. Go back one more time. One more time. Oh, all that hard work that we did with Molly. It looks like it's been deleted. So we will skip the Simon Sinek thing, but at least we can go over the high points of it. Okay. So, and we had a board back here. Okay. I have the board. All right. So here's what I want you to do. Take out a paper. Take out a paper and with your pen, some scratch paper here. What I want you to do is I want you to draw 3 like a bullseye. So you're going to go 1 in the center, 1 on the outside, and another circle all the way around, all the way around. So there's 3 rings. Tell me when you've got that. Okay. How many people do we have on Zoom? I might be able to do this from my computer.
We got 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
David's here.
we won't worry about that then. So even the people on Zoom, go ahead and if you can do that, do 3 circles like a bullseye. Now in the center, we're going to write the word why. Okay, write the word why. On the second ring, we're going to say how. And on the last ring, we're going to put what. So Simon Sinek, he came up with the idea of the golden circle. And what the golden circle is, it's a way that people who market themselves, or even anybody really, that need to find out what their purpose is in life, or the purpose of their product, or whatever it is that they sell or provide for services. He says that most people do it, their process is backwards. Usually what they do is they like to focus on what they do first, and then work their way into the system. They do what they do first, then they talk about the process of how they do it, and then lastly they talk about their motivation of why. But usually people are most attracted to your why first, right? So if you've got a deep burning passion or a motivation for the thing that you do, that's what people are most attracted to. For instance, and where's my, I'm gonna grab this. Spend too much on this one, but I think it is impactful. So for me, the what of what I do is I help others buy and sell real estate, right? So that's the what. It's kind of boring. I'm just like everybody else if I start with that. But if we work from the inside out from the why, the how, and the what, or basically, the motivation, what my process is, and then finally what I do for a living, it becomes a little bit more exciting. So number one would be why. So because I enjoy abundance building, wealth building, and creating a community and building other people's up, that is my why. So the process of how I do that is through networking, creating a database, and constant follow-up, I buy and sell real estate. Okay, so it's the end result is I buy and sell real estate. But that's not the reason why I do it, right? The reason why I do it is because I love helping other people grow, whether it's the family or business. I love seeing them grow both personally and business, and then grow their, have abundance in life. Okay. The way he explains it is so much better. Yeah. Well, I would be able to show you here, but then the people on Zoom wouldn't be able to see. It is on YouTube. Yeah. So it's just called Simon Sinek, The Golden Circle. And then he has 2 books. One is called Start With Why. And then the second one is called Leaders Eat Last. Leaders Eat Last. You can get those audiobooks. I would start with why. Start with why. Start with why. It's SINEK. SINEK. Oh, boom. Is this the 5-minute version?
Yeah. Would you like me to play it?
Oh, we can watch it. You guys interested in that now that I explained it though? Okay, go ahead. Yeah, let's play that. Thank you. He really is.
Yeah, I want to meet you one day.
Yes.
I
I love that.
I'll just need to share the audio.
We don't have audio.
Inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's
that's the
simplest
thing.
idea.
It's not
I
showing
call
the
it the
audio.
golden circle.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it's not showing. It's not letting me share the audio.
Yeah, the audio was good. We could hear it.
Oh, all right.
Sorry about that. And thank you.
And organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat-screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat-screen TVs. They've been making flat-screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business
we're probably
with people
okay.
who
We're going to go
believe
past
what you
this.
believe.
Thank you. Let's go back to the next slide. So going back to the 6 competencies of business. Okay. So did that make a little bit more sense when he said it, right? That's because he has a passion for what he does as well, right? So he can explain that really well. So what I wanted to do is just take 1 minute. Let's see if we could just do this in 1 minute with the circles that you drawn. Go ahead and to yourself, write down what it is that you do. How do you do it, and why do you do that? And I would say if you can write that down in 1 minute, we'll give you 1 to 2 minutes. You probably have already zeroed in on your purpose. Okay. Just give a couple more seconds here. Everybody's head is still down, so that means we're still writing. Still thinking. It's hard. This is hard. And I'll be honest with you, it could take hours, it could take days. Sometimes the right situation has to happen to you while doing this, while putting your head down and going to work, and having that aha while you're working, going, oh my gosh, I love this because this happened. This is now my passion. This is why I'm doing this. I knew that it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be this good. And so, yes, I can do this. Is everybody okay? Does anybody want to share what they have? Not necessarily. Perfect.
I just put what I do. I feel like as a real estate agent, my job to.
Oh, can I get to this?
Sure.
Thank you.
I was just saying that as a licensed real estate agent, I feel like it's my duty to help buyers or sellers smoothly and safely transact their purchase or sale.
Smooth. Okay, I love that.
So that's under what
Yeah,
I do.
yeah. But there's a portion of that I think that kind of goes into the why as well. And we're going to get into a little bit of the fiduciary reasons why we do what we do, and kind of do a compare and contrast of like being a functionary versus being a fiduciary. So, and I know this is a process that it's going to take to build out your why, right? Because I think all of us we can all say what we do, right? But we'll narrow in and get to that why, the heart. Okay. All right. So who here can tell me what part of real estate excites you? And if you haven't done real estate, what is the part that you're looking forward to the most? Yes. What was your name? Greg Christopherson. And what was your name? Jesse. Greg and Jesse. Thank you. Yes. So and just kind of just listening to your clients, listening in on what's happening, being an observer. Nope.
And get the most from their home or land or whatever it may be.
Right.
So I enjoy that process a lot.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we'll go over that process as well. And I love that. I love being a part. Sometimes it's just a matter of being a fly on the wall and seeing the transaction take place, and you're just there to facilitate. Just as right now I'm here to facilitate the learning. I feel like you guys are probably learning more from the process. Well, no, sorry, flip flop that. I will learn more from the process because I'm being the fly on the wall. I get to observe everything. But so basically, welcome to your new job. There are 6 core competencies of business. You're an independent business person, and it's important to understand the components of this job. Essentially, you are it, right? There's an appropriate saying that if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And I told you a little bit about that. If it is to be, it's up to me. I like to go a little bit further and say, yes, it is important. You know, it all starts with me in the beginning, but how many people can I go out and help? How many people can be part of my team as well? So let's just quickly go over the 6 core competencies. Lee, do we want to, can we start here? And then we'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 of us here. There's 3 of us on Zoom. We'll just start that way. Just read down.
Generate, capture, convert to appointments. Present buyers and sellers and get.
Okay.
Buyers and market sellers.
Okay. Greg. Number 4. Oh, sure. Go ahead, Tyson.
Write and negotiate contracts.
Yep. Looks like we lost our. I can't read that either. You want to? Yes. Yep. Coordinate the sale to closing, and then the final. You got that one? You manage the money. Perfect. Okay. And we lost screen again. I don't know if somebody can help us there. What was the? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ritz. We haven't met, but I'm glad you're back there helping us for sure. Okay, perfect. We'll go to the next. The next slide now. So the first competency is your first priority. After all, if you have no leads, you have no business, and you must have leads to sustain a which is what you signed up for, right? So we came into this business because we need to reach out to a lot of people. You will learn, and it will be repeated over and over, that your number one job is lead generation. It's the daily practice of talking to people about buying and selling real estate, capturing accurate contact information, that is name, number, email, home address, and any other data a person is willing to divulge. Capture also means adding new people to your business and your database so you can converse with them and provide value. So guys, this one was an aha for me, and I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable here and tell you, I didn't really get this till just like a couple months ago. Most of our business was done referral based because I came from new construction to then farming the area. You know, we would just go and contact people. We'd write handwritten cards. We'd knock on their doors, things like that. I didn't really realize what I was doing is building a database, and someone said, your business is your database is your business. And I'm like, oh, makes sense. You know, it's just, I guess, because I've got such a hard head coming from the construction world, I really didn't get it. You know, there was only a couple people that I served in my business, and I didn't really get, guess what? If I expanded that database, I might have gotten a lot more work. I don't know. So right now I do use KW Command. And then for when I'm reaching out for like newsletters and things like that, I use Constant Contact. So, and that's been really helpful there. Like, you know, you can write your own newsletter, send out just any information that you want. It's pretty inexpensive for that. I know that there's probably free services out there, but I like to use Constant Contact. And then I like to go with the tried and true of what KW has recommended with using KW Command. And we're going to actually I don't, has anybody gone into command yet and inputted any contacts? So we're, okay. So Greg, okay. Jesse, thank you. Jesse.
Yeah, I have to.
Yes, I'll remember now. No, Jesse Pinkman. Yeah. Breaking Bad. One of my favorite characters was Jesse Pinkman. Thanks. Okay. Okay. Let's move on. So finally, converting to an appointment. Capturing leads is wonderful. However, the ultimate goal is to find active buyers and sellers and set an appointment to meet and agree to work with together. Remember, we are learning and building on each new skill as we advance through the entire course of Ignite. This is why it's important to attend every session and complete the course, which I know all of you will, right? Yes, yeah, absolutely. So there's only 20 days of this, so we can do it. Oops. Okay. Go ahead. So the second core competency is to present to buyers and sellers and get agreements. This core competency is about your skill during the appointment with the buyer and seller. Presenting to buyers means going through the buyer consultation document, which outlines the entire buying process and all the steps you take to assist the buyer in the process. You'll also address any questions or concerns the buyers have at that time. Presenting to a seller is similar. You go through the entire listing presentation document with them, which outlines the entire selling process, including the marketing you will provide along with all of the steps that it takes. So let's see. Okay, there's one thing I wanted to hand out to you guys that I believe is very helpful. This is something that my wife, Courtney, and if you never met Courtney, you've got to meet her. I'll introduce you. She's just dynamic. She's going on her third master's degree right now over there. She's doing the MRED program at the University of Utah, and she's just amazing. And I'm over here. I don't have a degree, and it's like I'm the luckiest guy in the world. She's so smart. So MRED is the Masters of Real Estate Education. Sorry, Masters of Real Estate Development at the University of Utah. And she's learned some pretty intense things. So, and if you ever want to know more about that, I believe Clay Winder and also Johnny Christensen have both gone through that program. It's amazing. It's amazing. I get to be a fly on the wall when she's zooming into her classes. And I would say the biggest takeaway from that is just all the networking that you get to do with that program. Just awesome. Okay, so this is, let's start first with daily log sheet. So I wanted to give you all copies of these. You can take 2, and anybody on Zoom, if you want these, I can email you a PDF of these. So just get in contact with me. Go ahead and take one of those. This just shows your daily contacts as you're doing your success system. Just allows you to take track of the numbers. And it is a numbers game, but ultimately there are people behind that. Also, this is the summation of your daily tasks, and you can write that down during like a weekly tracking form. So in the end, accountability, and this is a great example to yourself, and together with accountability partners. It's a great way to just have those numbers right there so that you can talk to your accountability partner. Thank you. So go ahead and take a weekly tracking form, pass that around, and then last but not least, it's an so sellers. This is an estimated expense. It's good to have when you have to turn on your thinking cap with a seller, and they're asking, hey, in the end, how much is my home really going to be worth, right? Or in the end, how much am I going to net at the end of this whole process? So go ahead and take one of those. Thank you. And I really do think that will help you as you're working on your success system. Okay. Also, we do have buyers and sellers guide. If you guys are interested in taking a look at the Nielsen Property Group's buyers and sellers presentation guide, we're happy to share those with you as well. Lee Stern and both Lee Stern and Josh Stern do an awesome presentation on teaching you how to come up with the marketing materials so that you can create the best expectations with your buyers and sellers. So I highly recommend when her training goes on the training calendar, definitely sign up for those for that training. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So any of this material that I'm handing out, this is our material. The Nielsen property, the buyer and seller's guide, that's ours as well. But I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We want you to have that information because it makes a more educated real estate agent, and ultimately, we want to help you succeed. Okay, so now we'll go to the number 3 core competency, and it is show buyers and market to sellers. So showing buyers is all about understanding the needs of the buyer and selecting houses for them to experience with you. Marketing sellers translates to marketing their house in the best possible light via the most channels to ensure that many potential buyers as possible see it. So when it says via most channels, we're marketing via most channels. I think we're talking about how we syndicate our listings out to the different platforms, Zillow, HomeLight. There's all these different platforms, and some of them are free platforms that you can go on, sign up, and become a real estate expert of choice, and you can start gaining leads from some of these platforms. Zillow's kind of more the one that's more expensive, but there are free ones out there. In fact, let me give you one that I'm using right now, which is just awesome. It's been really helpful. And again, I'm over in the Eagle Mountain, Saratoga Springs area. So realtor.com, it costs money. Zillow does. The one that I'm using right now is UpNest. So UpNest is free. I would definitely go on there and see if you can become one of their preferred realtors. And as long as you're contacting those individuals and following up with them, they'll continue to give you leads. So just do your part. Okay. Next. Okay. I did want to go over something that I have found to be really helpful when it comes to marketing for buyers and sellers. Has anybody heard of Jeff Shore? Jeff Shore. So he was big. He's big in the new construction world. However, his book, for the 4-2 formula, it really does apply to resell. This I'm going to highly recommend you guys get either audiobook or in paperback. Basically, how the 4-2 formula works is it's just a means of breaking down. We talked about Ford last week. Remember the acronym of Ford, F-O-R-D last week. So it's family, and I've got it back here. We're going to talk about it again. But yes, exactly. It's like delivery or dreams. Yes. I used to use one called Form, which was family, occupation, recreation, and then my message. But dream works way better because we're not talking about ourselves. We're talking about their dreams, so, which is really cool. But the 4-2 formula talks about there's four things you must do in order to gather the information needed to even present or push a buyer or a seller a certain way. And so those 4 things, and I'll break them down really quick. The 4 things are, number 1, you must gain trust, right? So building a relationship of trust is number 1. Number two is you have to find their motivation. And we've talked about this word quite a bit, the why. What is their why? What's their motivation for wanting to make a move in the first place? If you don't find that out, you're toast. You're never going to be able to use their motivation to help them out of their current situation. So that's the third thing, is dissatisfaction. What is dissatisfaction? Everybody's got a dissatisfaction about where they live, right? He here, even Bill Gates, is probably dissatisfied where he lives, because guess what? He's not living on his own island, right? If it was up to him, he'd probably buy his own island, fly in. I think it's who is it? That country music star, Faith Hill and Tim McGraw. They've got their own island, which is crazy. But so we all have a certain dissatisfaction, and motivation and dissatisfaction work very similar. So you've got to find out why it is that they're wanting to move, and then really dig in deep to find out what their dissatisfaction motivation is. And then the fourth item on that is to talk about a future promise. Okay. And so that's what we're really getting at, is a future promise of what does their next house look like? And what does their lifestyle look like? All right. What time is it? Yeah, we'll go 10 more minutes, and then do we want to do like a quick 5-minute break? And okay, cool. All right. So the fourth competency is writing and negotiating contracts. This is a big responsibility, and one that many new agents are concerned about and anxious about completing their first contract accurately. Oh, so Cade, I definitely want to go to you on this one. So when you were writing your first contract, can you give me just a sense of some of the anxieties that you might have had while going through that? And I give you the microphone here because I'm very interested.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of anxiety. I mean, it was, first contract, first thing, and everything happened really fast. I mean, I guess everything has to happen fast right now because, Monday we did the showing, and then all day Tuesday, pretty much, I was writing everything, getting the offer going, and, making sure that ours would compete well enough. And then Wednesday was more of the negotiation process. We were luckily only competing against one other person because I made it clear that, my buyers made it clear that they didn't want to get into any bidding wars. So I made sure that with the listing agent, that if we send in something good enough by Wednesday, that they would go under contract with us. So yeah, we were only competing against one other person, and we basically just one-upped them, and then we went under contract on Wednesday.
That's awesome.
So, but yeah, Wednesday specifically was definitely pretty hectic. So, but yeah, it was fun. I liked it. So
yeah. So there we could kind of, we can see that some of your passions might grow out of going through the experience, right?
definitely.
So you don't,
Yeah.
you never know where your why is going to come from. So your why can change. Your whole motivation for doing real estate could change. And you might learn to embrace your job over time, right? We'd love it if you could embrace it like from the get-go, but it's things like that when you have successes that kind of help solidify those reasons of why you do what you do, right?
Yeah, definitely. I feel a lot more confident in my ability to do those things now, rather than it just kind of being like a thing of, I would like to do this. It's a lot more, those anxieties have helped me be just a lot more trustworthy in myself now. So
yes. And that's that. So going back to what Carl said last Friday regarding looking at yourself in the mirror, and you've got to be able to basically get out of your head and say good things about yourself, right?
Yep.
So don't self-sabotage yourself, and learn to trust yourself, right?
Yep.
So awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else want to share a story of their first of their first real estate transaction if they've gone through one? Or okay, Lee.
Sure.
Perfect.
Oh, my first real estate transaction exploded actually over a accent wall in the kitchen.
Whoa.
Yeah, super young agent, but it taught me that you have to be so diverse as an agent. You have to be, you're putting on so many different hats, but also walking a fine line that you are not the ultimate expert on things. That when it comes to really hardcore accounting and tax things, you refer them to their tax accountant.
Yeah.
Legal things, hey, their attorney. Appraisal things, surveying, you go to the experts.
Yeah.
But at times you are a family counselor, a marriage therapist. You are a part-time home inspector, construction worker.
Yeah.
So my very, very first transaction, during all the negotiations, during the due diligence, which you can object for anything, the buyer asked the seller to repaint a red wall in the kitchen. There was nothing else wrong with the house. I mean, this was 20 years ago.
That's just it.
20 years
Just
ago.
red, just a red wall.
It was just a red wall and no one knew anything, but it was such a point of conflict between the husband and wife, the seller, that they just had thrown up their hands and said, we're done. We're done here.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I was so young that I wasn't able to kind of keep cool heads and say, let's focus on the finish line. This is what we're here to do. Let's just everyone keep calm.
Yeah.
And keep your eye on the prize, which is crossing the finish line.
Yeah.
So that was my very, very
Yeah, and
first.
it seems like something so insignificant. It's like, okay, on the buy side, maybe we don't have to worry about painting the wall right now. And on the sell side, what's the big deal? It's just a red wall.
Yeah. Or
like you're going to leave anyways. You're going to move. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. Or just say no.
Yeah.
Just say no. We're not gonna paint the red wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a lot of things that kind of built up into that. It wasn't just the red wall.
Yeah.
But it's just keeping everybody, you got to be that calming
Yes.
force.
That calming presence.
Right.
Yeah.
You think you could have seen that a little better now having more experience, that you could have communicated better back and forth?
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
the gap you learned?
Yeah. 1,000%.
Yeah.
And everything that led up to that as well, because we all know it's real estate agent, and you'll hear over and over that the real estate transaction is like one of the most emotional things a person will ever go through.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, up there with childbirth and losing a loved one and divorce.
Very stressful.
Yeah,
It can be very
extremely stressful because it's somebody's life savings.
Yep.
It's going to be the biggest investment that they make in their entire life. It's where they're going to hold birthdays, Christmases. It's where they're going to make all their memories. It's where they sleep. So absolutely,
it's so hard, especially if you're being a fiduciary, to not become calloused to the idea that is their biggest purchase that they're ever going to make.
Yeah.
Because we do it all the time, and it's like, well, what's the big deal? Like, let's just do this, right? And so it's easy to move from fiduciary into just functionary, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But just, just doing the I call it the wind, let's see, the like the tornado of the day. It's like the things that you've got to do to just push the cell along. Sometimes you can forget what you're really there for as a fiduciary, right?
Right. And with both buyers and sellers, when it comes to certain aspects of the transaction, you really got to recenter them, because it is such an emotional thing that you have to keep them focused on, hey, because they want to win. They want to feel like they got a good deal. They want to feel like, hey, this is our house. We got a good deal on it. It's solid. It's going to be a great place to live. We don't have all of these, the foundation's not crumbling. They want to feel safe.
Yeah.
They want, it's that at the end of the transaction, they want to have that warm fuzzy, and
Yeah.
it's our job to help get them there.
Yep.
So you got to help them saying, hey, these are the material things that we can ask for.
Yeah.
Like the exposed wiring, like we got to have the hand railings if it's an FHA,
Right.
more than 2 steps. You got to understand what type of loan you're working with.
Yeah.
But
Well,
what's material and what's not, and help that anyways. That was you asked for
Yeah, I
you
loved
asked for
it.
an experience
Thank
on your
you.
first transaction,
you.
and that
Yeah,
that was 20
it's
years
hairy.
ago. So I mean, lots of
learning since.
yeah.
And again, going back to the buyers and the seller's guide, that's why we have those. That's why we have the conversations up front to set expectations. And certainly experience helps, but we're not going to know everything that we're getting into. But by and large, we can set expectations for maybe 90-95% of it. So, okay, let's go ahead and take a break for 5 minutes, and then we will talk about the fifth competency when we come back. Interact and touch other people in certain ways that I can't. So that's why it's okay that there's tons of agents out there. You have a specific purpose, and only you, if we had a client or a prospect come in here right now and they said, we're looking for a real estate agent, literally, there's something unique about you that only you can give that person. And it's possible that they don't jive with you. It doesn't really work out. That's okay. We go to the next person and we see if we can help them out. Okay. So continuing with mindset. I definitely want to talk about this. Okay. So how long on average does it take how long on average does it take to find a buyer or a seller? Any idea?
Depends on how much lead generation you're doing, I'm sure.
Okay. Yeah. How much lead generation? And then how long might it take to actually close once you find that buyer or seller? How long does it actually take to close that individual?
Well, it's gonna be different with buyers and sellers, right? Are you asking for a different time?
Well, that's a great point. This is going to be different for a buyer versus a seller. Sometimes buyers are sellers and sometimes sellers are buyers.
With the seller right now, it's probably a month.
Yeah.
They're going under contract in less than a week. So
Yeah. And can we back up a little bit too? Remember, our job is to be there when they need us, right? And so it's possible by the time we meet them, they're only halfway through the process of the 4-2 formula, which is they're still finding out the reasons why they actually hate the house, right? And they're not willing to talk about that quite yet, but there'll be a point when you're there at the right time and you're able to talk about, use the Ford formula, right? And then the 4-2 formula, you'll be able to be in the right position where then they say, hey, Kate, by the way, I really appreciate everything that you've been willing to do for us. And I just hate my backyard. Like, we got to find something else. Our dogs, we let our dogs out. We got to have more room, man. So, and you're there, you're right there in the right time. But that could have taken 2 years to get to that point.
You're saying more in terms of like from the start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It could be any of it, right?
Yeah.
But new construction, let's say that one person that you're talking to, it's been 2 years that you've been talking to them, and now they want a new construction house because there's not a lot out there inventory wise.
Right. There's another 18 months.
Could be.
Yeah.
It could be. We just had a deal out in Saratoga Springs. They started the process last February and they just got into their home 2 weeks ago. So it was really, really rough. And so all the follow-up that you have to do during a 14-month period, you look at it and you're like, I don't think I'm getting paid enough. So.
But also on the flip side,
Yeah.
there's the tough ones that will knock knock you sideways.
Yeah.
But then there's other ones that just fall in your lap.
Yeah.
Like if you just put yourself out there and your friends, family, coworkers, wherever
Yeah.
you're at, it's like, hey, I need to list my house. I got a new job. And it's just here. You go out, you meet with them, they already know you.
Yeah.
And it's super quick.
Yeah.
And they're so grateful that you're their guide through it.
Yeah.
And it's 2-3 weeks. You get a cash offer, you close it, and you kind of look around like,
Yeah.
what? Yeah,
What just
that was
happened?
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, so in the same neighborhood, same builder, so we had the one client that took 14 months to build their house. We were talking about that exact story, and our niece and her husband was like, oh, by the way, we need a house. Falls in our lap, right? She's much younger. We didn't even think to put her in our sphere, but here she is. She's in our sphere nonetheless. And we were in the right place, the right time. We knew of the other homes that were closing soon, and we were able to put them in, and they didn't have to worry about a 14-month process. They're closing this week.
Yeah.
So it's awesome,
Yeah,
right? It's those ones that,
it's the Edom.
Yeah,
It's just-
yeah.
there's awesome
sometimes you'll wait a long time. Sometimes it's just quick.
Yeah.
So there's that yin
Yeah.
and yang, right? Okay. Next one. Oh, I did want to talk about this very quickly. Has anybody heard the term commission breath before? Commission breath. Yes. Okay. Do you want to explain what commission breath is, Jesse?
Sure. To me, it just means you're overselling. You're like, you're talking too much. You're coming across as desperate.
Yeah.
It's a bad look. That's commission breath.
Yes. Okay.
Too hard.
So Cash and David, so Jesse said commission breath is when you almost are trying too hard. You're just trying too hard, and you're overselling. And overselling sometimes leads down the wrong path, right? Because if we personally want something to close, let's go back. So 2 weeks ago, we're closing up we're walking the new construction home. It's been 14 months. I'd love to see this thing close, right? When the buyer was going through the house and walking through, we were talking about paint items. Paint items are usually the number one thing that people talk about in new construction. And it was really hard to just say, let's just get that thing closed. It's been 14 months. But I had to put on that hat of the patient one, the trusted advisor. And guess what? I knew that it was going to close. We just had to go through the process of pointing out these items. But man, you are tempted at times to just be like, can we just get this thing done, right? Okay. Thanks for that, Jesse. Okay. Oh, I was going to say on that. So are you the type of agent that's curious and genuine, or are you another type of person? If you're curious and genuine, it's you don't have to worry about the commission breath, right? Are you also a yes person? So sometimes being a yes person can get us into trouble as well. You don't have to agree all the time with your client to get what you want. And we're not going to do business unless it's a win-win anyways. So, okay. So now we'll go to the next quote here. Oh, let me tie this up. So remember the quote from Friday, anyone can do it, but not everyone will. So the question is, will everyone commit to these 6 competencies right now? Just say, yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yes, love it. Okay. So here's another quote. To achieve your highest potential, these 6 core competencies must be done consistently and well. Let's talk about, do we have any ahas during that time? Let's kind of go to the ahas. Anybody, anything stick out during that time that we've spoken? So.
I really like the 4-2 thing that you brought up.
Okay.
That's a pretty good formula, I guess you
It
could call
is.
it, to approach things. So.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And that is, so again, coming from a construction background, I didn't know how to sell. And having that type of foundation kind of showed me, what I need to do to keep a good, to start a relationship built on trust, and then move through those things that are important to them, not necessarily to me.
I like how you pointed out your niece.
Oh.
In my own experience, you have a mindset of who is your target market, but it's always, it was an aha moment saying, hey, you might have blind spots
Yes.
to people that they themselves might not be ready, but they might have an uncle or a niece,
Right.
or a coworker or something. If you have that relationship and trust with them,
Yeah.
and you're actively engaged about who you are and what you do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was that we have nearly a 20-year difference in our age, right? So, man, I wasn't even thinking, and they're just recently married, I was thinking, years down the road, they'll get a house. Well, there's no better time than the present, right? So I was lucky for them. Yeah, Jesse.
I liked how you talked about not doing it for you, how you started out in the industry doing it for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can run into, you can only spend so much doing it that way. But I personally love working with people, meeting new people, being more social than and being out in the field than being stuck in an office crunching numbers or some other job.
Yes.
And so that's one thing I wrote down.
What, Jesse, if you don't mind me asking, what is your background before you came
I
into real
worked with
estate?
Vivint forever doing
Okay.
home security sales
Okay, perfect.
and managing teams.
Yep.
So I've transacted thousands of times, but I'm new to real estate.
Yeah, but it's perfect. Perfect foundation for you to come in here and be successful. I 100% believe that. That's awesome. Okay. Anybody else? Good. Tyson, Tyler. Everybody. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I'll just say one thing too, like
go
it was
ahead.
more talked about yesterday about the investment that we're putting in, because like I've put more time, effort, and money into this new job, even though I have a full-time job with like no payoff yet. But like you can't really look at it that way, because as everyone said, you have to put in the work now to really get the dividends, later on. So that's something I'm trying to focus on, is really just getting as much knowledge as I can, so it pays off in the long run.
Yeah. It sounds like, going back to the 80-20 rule. Again, if you could be working on that 80% right now, and down the line, that 20% is going to manifest itself, right? So hopefully that's going to be the case, and definitely wish you luck on getting these deals done, David. What was that?
Just, I always like to refer this to it's like putting cotton balls in a pipe. You got to start putting them in.
Yeah.
And putting them in, and you don't see any dividends for a long.
Absolutely.
Maybe for a long time. You gotta just keep your leads going, and then eventually, who knows when, they'll start popping out.
I love that. So Ryan,
and you need to keep.
Yeah.
As a realtor, you never leave your job. You will always, like, wherever you go, restaurants.
Yep.
Reunions.
Yep.
Parties, whatever. But you just got to keep that pipeline filled, keep it going, because you'll have 2 or 3 deals, 5 deals, and they'll all close, and then they'll say, well, okay, what? Where's the next one? Shoot,
oh my gosh,
I did not keep feeding this pipeline.
Yeah. 100%. So that reminds me of a guy named Ryan Serhat. Anybody know the $1 million listing guy? New York, yeah. So Ryan Serhat says the exact same thing. You said cotton balls. He actually used just balls in general. He says, in order to keep deals going, and he had to learn this early on in 2007. That's when he started real estate in New York, and so that was a terrible time to start real estate. Well, he came up with this idea called balls up. So balls up just means, think of a juggler, right? Someone's juggling balls. If one ball goes down, it's okay, because he's still got other balls up in the air. And so he'll always ask his team, how many balls do you have up in the air? for accountability purposes. It's a great way to think about it. I love the cotton ball thing. Somebody said last week that, and this was an aha for me, it was your pipeline. What did he say? I forget how it was said. Oh, your pipeline is your follow-up, or your follow-up is your pipeline. I forget how it's put, but I'm like, yeah, basically keeping the balls up in the air. That's you continuing to follow up and being a presence, being that, owning the real estate in their mind, right? So love it. Okay, moving on. Okay, so fiduciary versus functionary versus fiduciary. In The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Gary Keller explains, a functionary is one who is in a specific task and relationship with their clients. They do the job, while a fiduciary is one who not only does the tasks of the job, they are also in a high trust relationship with the clients and feel totally responsible for the outcome. I always talk about my wife, but so 23 years, I've learned so much from her in terms of she cares like nobody else. Like there's times when I'm like, why don't you just do this and let's move on. She's like, I can't move forward yet until the client understands what's happening. And she has such a high amount of integrity that she doesn't move forward with certain things until the buyer or the seller understands what's happening. And so she just makes for a good fiduciary person. I'm definitely more of a functionary type individual that I have to work and claw my way to understanding how to be a better fiduciary, how to really be purposeful in my curiosity about my buyer and seller. And I think that's probably, some of us have more of a proclivity to build relationships built on trust, and they don't even have to think about it. For me, it's like, okay, I need to build a relationship built on trust. How can I get to know this person, and how do I show that I'm being the best trusted advisor as possible, right? It just doesn't come as easy for me as it would for her. And so anyways, on a piece of paper, if you can draw a T line, and on one side at the top, put fiduciary, on the other side, put functionary. We're just going to talk about a couple of functionary items that, gets the job done. But if we were to turn it around and act more as a fiduciary, it works more in the favor of our buyers and sellers. So underneath functionary, let's put these three things. So one, send Repsy DocuSign. That's number one. Number two, meets at client's house and only shows the house. Number three, under functionary, text long or short messages and assumes outcomes. Okay, so now on the flip side of that, so on the very first one, send Repsy and DocuSign. Let's write on the fiduciary side.
What was the third one?
Is text long or short messages and assumes outcomes. So what would be a fiduciary way of, if you were acting as a fiduciary and in the best interest of your client, and you were to send a Repsy and a DocuSign, being the functionary way to perform, what else could you add to that rather than just sending over a contract DocuSign and hoping that they will sign? What else can we do to act as a fiduciary rather than just prego? I'm learning Italian. Yeah, prego, please. Sign the paperwork, so I don't have to explain anything, right? So what are some things we can do?
Post-COVID, meet with them.
Meet with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually go through step by step.
You could meet at the house. You can do Zoom, right? But the idea is to let them know you're available, right? There might be things that they completely get, they completely understand. And there might be things that come across that, they just don't understand. One of my favorite things to do at Woodside, sitting down in front of a potential buyer, was to go over the contract. But I didn't go over everything. I went over the things that I thought were important that would come up in the future that could possibly give them troubles. And in that way, I felt like I was being a good fiduciary, because there were some items that might have been more disclaimers, but then there were some items that could really mess them up long-term in the contract if they didn't understand it from the get-go. And setting expectations is a fiduciary responsibility. Okay, next one, meets at house and only shows house. What else can we do as a fiduciary rather than just functionally show them a house?
I think it's a good time to find out what their wants and needs are still.
Okay.
Their expectations, what they like about it, what they don't.
Okay, perfect.
I guess that's kind of obvious.
Well, it seems obvious, right? But let's say you're meeting somebody for the first time and you're just checking off a box, right? So it's like, okay, I met with them. I'll follow up later. Hey, I hope you guys like the house. I'll see you later. It might be better. We could, instead of meeting them, we could meet them at a park close by, because we can all meet at the house. But what if we kind of took a step back? We met at a park where we knew that possibly their kids, or that they might enjoy themselves, and then tour the neighborhood, show them the amenities that are close by. Just be more interested in them and what their experience is going to be like, rather than just only showing them a product, because that's boring. Yeah.
In meeting a client for the very first time, I think it's important to show them that you take your job serious.
Yeah.
And that you're building that relationship of trust.
Yep.
And that very first meeting, I think, is so key, that I like to do as much research about, if they call me on one specific house, to do as much research as I can about that house, the neighborhood, the history of the house. Has it been on the market before? When was the last time it was sold? Was it an FHA sale? Was it not? Were the buyers qualified for that or not?
Yeah.
As much information as you can give them up front as
Yeah.
possible.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, hey, here's this. I'm just here to help. And then, well, what are you actually looking for? What are some of your goals? Are you looking for this neighborhood? Are you moving in from Texas? What are your timelines? I mean,
yeah,
it's not a hard sell. It's not, oh, well, hey, what's it going to take to
yeah,
you make an offer on this place today?
Right, exactly.
No, you're just there to truly help, and that builds a relationship. And then the second house, third house, fifth house, now you have them as clients, and then
Yeah.
you can start filtering, not be as intense per se, but
Yeah.
when they do find a house that they like, say, hey, well, do you want me to do some more research on this? Do you want me to go into county records? Are you interested in putting an offer and throwing your hat in the mix?
Yeah, and I think people buy location, right? And so it's very possible that you're looking in one or two communities, maybe more, and you've done enough homework where the third or the fourth time around, you don't need to spend as much time with them regarding what amenities are close by. You can spend more time on the house, but now it's time to like really zero in on the house and kind of tackling their dissatisfaction for the last house. Because people usually, and that's something that we didn't talk about, they not only have dissatisfactions on the home, but it's possibly the community as well. Like, you've got to be willing to ask them the question, hey, did you like living in this community? You know, they might be like, well, it's a golf community, but we hated the golf course. You know, it helped with our values, but it didn't help with our windows getting hit all the time. You know, we don't like that.
Yeah. And ask them what they are looking for. Minimum bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. Get them set up on those auto sheets. Do you guys use those?
Yeah, the hot sheets
Yeah,
work
the hot
great.
sheets.
Yeah, they work when you're not working.
Oh, those are
And
so
yeah, yep. You can set up those hot sheets at a specific time when you know that they're going to be in front of a computer. I typically like to do mine 10 o'clock every morning. So they can, by the time lunch, lunch hits and they've got some time, they can go through their properties. Okay. So on B, the fiduciary. Oh, I did have one last one. So text long or short messages on the functionary role. I just put for fiduciary, makes time to talk over difficult conversations, because sometimes you just you can't just text issues. You have to handhold at some points. You have to be willing to have those hard conversations, which that is part of negotiating. So if you're not willing to have hard discussions, I dare say that you're probably not as good with negotiating either. So have the hard discussions. That does lead to paychecks in the end. Okay, be the fiduciary. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just see if we can. We're just going to do this by ourselves because there's not that many people here. I'm sorry, you snuck in and you're sitting by Molly. Are you part of Ignite as well? What is your name? All right, Catherine, I'll try to include you. Okay, thank you. Let's talk about, okay. Let's brainstorm how we can serve as fiduciaries to our clients. Let's see how this is worded after. Okay, so as a fiduciary, let's talk about lead generation, capture, and converting appointments. So from the beginning, part of the success system is making our going through our pipeline, writing down our 10 leads for the day, putting in our contacts into Command, if that's the CRM that you're going to use. How do we act as a fiduciary in that functionary role of just, inputting our contacts? Is there something that we can do as a fiduciary? Notes. Perfect.
Like just
So, okay.
Their son Henry loves Star Wars.
Okay.
I swear it's the small things.
Yeah.
Like then you go antique and you find a little Jedi figurine, and the next time you show up for a show,
that would be awesome.
Like
yes.
Henry,
Yes.
here's this, and the parents.
Yeah.
Light, and you get birthday cards to Henry's birthday party.
Absolutely.
Like,
Can I say birthdays, anniversaries? If you can get to the details of like what Henry wants for Star Wars, oh man, you're in like Flynn.
Yeah, and it's just small little notes like that. And then when you're following up with your follow-up a year from now, 2 years from now, when you haven't seen them, you mention what they like.
Yeah.
Say, hey, did you get that attic finished off?
Right.
I mean, really specific things. It's like, oh, it's not my real estate agent, it's family.
Yeah. So something cool that happened to me, we'll say a year ago, maybe a year and 2 or 3 months ago. I had a client, and well, I didn't know she lived in that Woodside community that I sold from. And because I had taken track of my sales up there, I became friends with her on Facebook. And on Facebook, she had said that she was pregnant. And I was like, sweet, I'm going to send her a little card, say congratulations. And so instead of just sending the card mail, I'm like, I'll do a pop by. So pop by is just, you're going to stop by their house really quick, just see how they're doing. And I did that. I knocked on the door, said, hey, I think I gave him a cookie too. So I gave him a cookie, sent him a card, told him congratulations. I thought it was awesome, because I was thinking of, here they are, they're in a house that would have been just fine for them to grow in, but she ended up 2 weeks later finding out that she was having twins. So all of a sudden, their 3-bedroom home, they already had 2 kids. Now they had 4 kids. They had grown it in 2 years, their house. And so from that, we were able to sell their home, put it on the market, not before we had to see if refinancing was a thing that they could do so that they could get a HELOC so they could finish the basement, maybe go that route. They decided they didn't want to go through that, and they ended up buying a new construction home up in Eagle Mountain. So yeah, so doing those little things are just awesome. Okay, present to buyers and sellers to get agreements. So again, it's very functionary to just present facts, figures, set expectations. But what can we do to present to buyers and sellers to get agreements? This one, they gave us some hints here. So we can educate our client about the home buying process or the selling process. And again, I think having those seller guides and those buyer guides, that again, any of you, and Catherine, right? If you wanted to get in touch with me later, we've got guides that we can share with you. That the only reason why we have them is because Lee Stern came and she helped with ours, and so it's kind of just this. We're more than happy to share those with you guys so that you can kind of see, oh, okay, here's what they say in the beginning, here's how they talk about staging tips, here's how they have their own value proposition, and on down the line. But more than happy to share that if you guys want it. Let's see, let's go ahead and go to Cash. Did you have something you want to say? Cassius. Is that how you spell cash? It's CASHS.
No, that's my last initial.
Okay, S is
the S.
I was wondering maybe S is silent. Okay. Let's move on to managing the money. So let's talk about how you can serve as a fiduciary for the 6 core competency of business. Managing the money. Managing your money means being responsible about how to handle your finances. Would you trust someone with a high dollar purchase if they can't manage their own finances? So, of course not. Like that's like going to Vasa or Lifetime Fitness and hiring someone who's, you could tell, maybe lives life on the edge, and that's not necessarily how you feel that that's not congruent with the whole message of being in shape, right? So that's the same thing with real estate. If we're not managing our own finances, how can we help other people with the biggest purchases of their life? So there may be times when you choose to decline a deal because it doesn't allow you to remain in high integrity with yourself or your client. So last Friday, we went over something called the WI4 C2 TES. So I wasn't there when Carl went over this, but it's W is win-win, I is integrity, C is customers, commitment. So there's 4 C's: commitment, communication, creativity, teamwork, trust, equity, and success. So I don't even know how you would say that. With 4 tickets. How do you say that? So how can being a fiduciary take you from being a good agent to a great agent? I think it's pretty self-explanatory, right? Like it's just going to set you apart from the other agents. Because again, you come up against somebody like me, especially in the beginning in 2015, I had to find out what my job was, and I acted very good as a fiduciary, as a functionary type sales agent. But I had to learn those softer skills as I went along, and I had to round out my personality, and I had to round out my genuine curiosity for the person, and then I had to actually care about what the outcome was going to be. And every single thing that we did during the day, I had to be thinking long-term, how does this affect the outcome in the end? Okay. Any ahas there with those 6 core competencies? Nah, I know we got 10 more minutes, so I've got lots more stuff to talk about. Okay. So the next one, let's go to the next quote of nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on it as the number of leads that you have. So in The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Gary Keller states, what you have to embrace is the fact that it is the number of qualified leads you have that will either grow your business, keep you in business, or put you out of business. Nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on it as the number of leads that you have. So why do you think cultivating leads are so essential to the success of your business? Like, why do we have to go through the process of calling people every single day? Like, is that
it builds a routine.
okay? Routine is great. Routine is great. Because if you don't have that routine, Cash, what happens if you don't have that routine?
I mean, it just becomes harder and harder to do. And, it's really the essential part of your business. And so if you can call every day on schedule and make it part of your daily routine, then you always have that consistent flow of leads and everything happening with your business.
Yeah, consistent. I think consistency is the most important thing. There's a guy by the name of Brian Buffini. If any of you have heard that name before, Brian Buffini has his accountability. So he lives in California. His accountability partner lives in Chicago. They talk to each other at the end of every single day. I think they've been doing it for 20, 30 years, and they're still talking to every single day to be accountable to one another. And Brian had a really, really busy day. He was going through airports and everything. And at the end of the day, when they had their accountability talk, he asked his accountability partner in Chicago said, "Did you do your prospecting? And if you didn't do your prospecting, you didn't do a day of work." So they were that big of sticklers that, hey, even though you were busy doing the whirlwind of activities that a normal agent does, you really didn't do the work that you were supposed to, because the most important thing is the prospecting. So, okay, let's go to next quote is, accountable people achieve results others can only dream of. In the first session of Ignite, we introduced the 6 personal perspectives. So let's elaborate on the 6th personal perspective of be accountable. So this quote, accountable people achieve results others can only dream of, was from the book, The One Thing with Gary Keller. That is an awesome book. Again, it's on Audible. So his main book, I would say, would be The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, which, by the way, I did a short stint in the commercial world. And it's funny because the commercial world's very opaque to us individuals in the residential sector. And you get there and it's like, okay, what do I do? Like, how do I do commercial real estate? And it's funny because there are agents there that subscribe to Gary Keller's thinking, and they use the Millionaire Real Estate Agent because his advice is so sound when it comes to the 36 touch, the 8 days of love. Is it 8 days of love, 4 days of love? Don't quote me on that. I'm still learning myself. But it's really funny that these commercial agents are using Gary Keller's The Millionaire Real Estate Agent book in their own practices. Just thought it was interesting. Okay, so accountability is a crucial part of achieving your goals. When you report to somebody else and you're on the progress of your goals, you gain more focus and motivation. Let's see. Think of accountability as a process. It is difficult to maintain drive over the long term, but when you must defend your activities to an objective observer, has anybody here been accountable to anybody else before? Like, gone through the process of accountability? Never? No, this is great. Then.
My wife is the biggest accountability partner.
Your wife is, Cash?
Yeah.
Okay, so what bring me through that. What do you guys do for accountability?
Well, at the end of every day, before we eat dinner, she'll always ask me like, hey, tell me what you did, walk me through your day, what happened, all of that stuff. And so then I'll tell her all of the events of the day, and then she'll pick out different points throughout my day where she'll ask me questions about it. And pretty soon we'll get to the point where she can realize if I'm, BSing my way through it, or if I actually was intentional about what I did.
Yeah. So does it ever, does she keep it really professional, or does it ever kind of go off of the, hey, what were you doing all day?
Yeah.
That's how it is with me and my wife.
Yeah.
We're just like, wait, what would you do all day? Nothing's done, Yeah. Only it's for us, it's never about the house or anything like that. We had our issues the first 5 years of our marriage. It's like, hey, nothing's done. But then when she's like, she wanted to work and I wanted to work. So now we're both working. Now we have to learn to work together, and doing real estate. Now we have to be accountable to one another as well. So I appreciate that, Cash. That's good advice for sure.
She writes nice bio-ups too.
Oh, yes, she does. Yes, she does. Thanks, Jesse. So there's a difference between feedback and criticism. A lot of times people, when we have accountability partners, sometimes we do tend to focus on how to criticize people instead of just focusing on feedback. And I've learned that what actual feedback is, it's fact-based, right? Now, if you don't have an accountability partner, one of the best things you can do to gain perspective on yourself is either video yourself or record yourself making calls, talking to yourself in the mirror, whatever it takes, because those type of things don't lie. And if you're like me, I don't even like the sound of my voice, but I become hypercritical of myself. And it's okay to be critical of yourself, just not others. Hypercritical of myself once I start listening to my scratchy, annoying voice, and the crack in my voice, it's very pubescent for sure. Yeah, I don't like that. But then I start focusing on the things I actually say. And it's not a bad way to stay accountable to yourself if you don't have an accountability partner. Okay, so let's move to choosing accountability partner. So speaking of accountability, you cannot do it alone. For this reason, in Ignite, we partner up with one another and participate to help each other succeed. One of the great benefits of having an accountability partner is that it increases your productivity and keeps you on track and in track with your goals. You'll provide accountability for your partner, and your partner will provide accountability to you. So here's the things that we suggest having with an accountability partner. Number one, you got to have a safe place to share your perspectives. 2, follow through with action items. 3, listen and pay attention while the other person shares. Set a frequency of checking in with others. Dig deep to find out why you do the things you do. Respect each other and the process. Create a commitment and stick to it. Be open for receiving feedback. I think that's the most important part, right? Once you have given everything, during a role play session, and you're going to listen to that feedback, you've got to be willing to accept that feedback. And then don't overthink it. Don't internalize it. Just improve. And I think if feedback is done correctly, again, you don't have to worry about the criticism. You'll just recognize it for what it is. It's just a fact. And then you can improve. So give specific feedback and have each other's best interest in mind. So even be a fiduciary to your accountability partner. So I'm going to raise, did you guys do accountability partners last Friday? Didn't go over that at all? Okay. You guys can have accountability partners here if you want them. The most important thing is that you find somebody that you can get along with. Can everyone just raise their hand right now and promise to me that you will find an accountability partner? Okay. We're out of time right now. So find the accountability partner and stick to that daily of again, providing a safe place, follow through with action items, dig deep, really ask, be curious about the individual who you're working with. And find somebody. Promise me that you'll do that. Okay, guys, there's more to this section. I want to really quickly fast forward. We do need to get into the success system. We need to start talking about having 10 conversations a day, 10 contacts. We have to add 10 contacts. Maybe on your next session, if possible, or if you guys want to come up here really quickly and I can show you how to add in a contact into KW Command, I can do that for you here. But write 10 handwritten notes every day, and get online. If you guys do social media, go ahead and start engaging with people online. Use the Ford technique. Talk about whatever they've posted on social media. Just put yourself out there. That's the idea. And that's it. So good luck on the next. What is the next session, Molly? Connect with your market. And who's going to be teaching that? Might not have that. Okay. 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 So Becca Summers, that would be a treat, guys, because she's like powerhouse. Awesome. Okay, perfect. So I guess we'll see you later. And if you want to come up here and I'll show you how to add a contact, I can do that. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.